Hello everybody, Ace here, giving it to you straight with day 89 of the Video Log Challenge, and today I wanted to talk to you all about how sometimes the things we think that we see aren't what we see, but in fact they're something different, but we don't yet have the awareness of what that is because we're projecting through ego and not actually staying strong in our seat of self, in our spirit, and seeing what it is actually all about. Now that was a very confusing intro. So I'm going to start with a story. The other day, I went to my buddy's house in St. Petersburg, Florida. And when you get off the exit, there's usually a homeless person. In almost every Florida exit, there's usually homeless people panhandling. For many, many years in my life, I had a very, very hard time with homeless people. I judged them bitterly. I judged them without much grace. I judged them without much empathy or compassion. And I didn't really know why I felt the way I felt about them. My ego had created a narrative that was because, in my opinion, the only way you end up homeless is if you choose it, or if you burned every possible bridge in your life with every person to the point where they will allow you to sleep on the streets and eat out of garbage cans than to be with them. And I always held that against the homeless person without ever actually hearing their story, without actually hearing, about what they've been through. I assumed, based off my limited experience, and I assumed that they were just pieces of shit that deserved to be there. Well, over the last 3 years, as my health deteriorated, especially my mental and emotional health deteriorated, and I got to the point where I barely could take care of myself, if it wasn't for my family that had my back, regardless of how I was acting or treating or doing any of that, I could have easily ended up on the streets. And it wasn't until a week ago, when I went to my buddy's place and I saw this homeless man, that it finally really started to click for me, at first unconsciously, because I found myself supporting him in a way that I would never do. I don't like giving money to homeless people, especially people who are panhandling. I one time saw a documentary that was talking about how a lot of people pretend to be homeless, and then they make like $200-300 a day panhandling, and then they go and get in their Mercedes and they drive away. And that kind of triggered me into thinking, oh, all these homeless people are that way. But for whatever reason, when I saw this man on this exit, he just seemed like he was really struggling. He was limping. It looked like he jacked his ankle up. It was cold. He didn't really have many layers on. He had to wear a mask. And he just looked really, really sad. And it was right after the holidays. And I literally, at this red light, it was a red light to get off the exit. I got out of the car with 4 quarters. I walked up to him. I gave them. I shook his hand. I looked him in the eye and I told him I loved him. I told him that he's an important person and that, God loves him. And I could see how much that affected him. I could see how much that really helped him. He even told me, thank you, man. Seriously, thank you for saying that. Because there's so many times these homeless people are treated like they're less than, the way that other humans treat animals, that they're a lesser species, that are a lesser life form. But in reality, I didn't realize why I did what I did until yesterday, when I started to kind of break it down. I've been working through a major boss battle, and it had to do with money, and it had to do with my military experience, my military service, and going through the VA process to get my benefits. It's been a major trigger for me these last 7 years, and a big reason that I found myself in these holes, a big reason I found myself needing to be taken care of by my family, was because I spent all this time externally trying to make things happen and always cutting myself off the knees, energetically speaking, and I was never able to get enough momentum going to actually be able to get anything going. And what this experience showed me was that my biggest fear over the last 7 years, apparently one of them, was to end up homeless. Because every time I saw a homeless person, it was almost like a slap in the face reality check that this could be you in a very short amount of time. When I was going through college, I took a sociology class. No, it was my tax accounting class. I took accounting 400, very difficult class. and our teacher was a CPA, which is a certified public accountant, and also a lawyer, which is ridiculous. It's very, very difficult to do. So he was a tax lawyer. And the thing he said to us was that we are all one major health disaster away from poverty. And it's absolutely true. And so every time I saw a homeless person, I judged them. In reality, it was my ego projecting my biggest fear being that I would end up on the streets, alone, abandoned, like I felt many times in my life. I felt alone my whole life. I felt abandoned my whole life. I felt like I've been betrayed a lot. So a lot of that residual trauma from my childhood, from the military, and even these last 3 years, it's all cumulative, correct? Got me to the point of really judging those homeless people, because in reality, that was my biggest fear, to end up like them, without love, without respect, without anything. And one of the things I've had to let go of over the last year is all the aspects of my past life that were killing me, including the jobs, the careers, the abundance, the stuff, the material items, my own, even my body, my beliefs. All these things had to be shed. My friend made a good comment yesterday. She said, it's almost like you reincarnated in this life. And I really did. I literally was reborn again, this time not at a house of cards, this time to my actual self. And now I'm having to regain my composure. I'm having to regain my faculties as this new being, which is the being I've always been and always meant to be. But I don't really know who he is. I'm still learning this new being. I'm still learning more about what I'm about, how I want to be, how I want to behave, how I want to talk, the kind of people I want to be around, the kind of things I want to put my energy into. And it takes time. And what caused me to kind of come to this realization about this homelessness thing and this fear of being homeless was the idea that I really don't have much in my life. I have less now than I had when getting out of the Marine Corps. I have less now than I had a year ago. I gained a lot in terms of my spirit. I've gained a lot in terms of emotional intelligence, in terms of health and wellness. But when it comes to material world, which is still a very important part, when it comes to the human world, which is still a very important part of this life, I don't really have much. And I found that myself was hanging on to things that I don't really have an attachment to, that I don't really care about, kind of like my truck. I have an opportunity to sell my truck, and all of a sudden I'm having this resistance and I'm scared, and there's all these narratives and storylines of why I don't want to sell the truck. But in reality, it turned out because it's literally the only thing I have. And to me, I guess it's an anchor, or it's grounding me in a way to this 3D human world that in reality I don't want any part of anymore. And so as I asked God for help, as I asked for my light family to help me transmute, sorry about the drag racers, I'm continuing to purge, and I'm continuing to break all this stuff out of my body, out of my cells, to release. I'm having to face these boss battles. I'm having to face these challenges, and they're very intricate and they're very minute. And I could easily go my ego way and start, oh, people are like this and people are like that and this and this and that. But what I've discovered, especially because I've made 89 videos of them now, what I've discovered is that every time our ego is blah, 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 it's in reality, it's what it wants from us. It wants that attention from us. And so the greatest gift the universe could have brought me was bringing me to the point of feeling like I was almost homeless, so that I can realize that even if I was homeless, it wouldn't define me. Even if I was homeless, wouldn't mean I would treat myself any worse. It wouldn't mean anything. It doesn't define you. Your living situation doesn't define you. The amount of money you make doesn't define you. The clothes you wear don't define you. Why do you think I look all crazy all the time? I was a person where I used to not even be able to go out at night if I had one hair sticking up. I'd also always do my hair. If you look at old pictures on Facebook or other interviews I've done, I used to have a comb over. Everything was all well manicured. Everything was perfect because I didn't want anyone to judge me. And that was my biggest fear of being homeless, is what will people think of me if I don't have a home? What do people think of me that I still live at home with my parents at 31? What do people think of me that my businesses didn't succeed, that I'm not worth $1 million? That's the end of the world. That was the end of the world to me, is what people thought of me. And this was just another extension of that. And so in reality, my biggest fear isn't being homeless. I'll make it work. I have plenty of friends that'll let me couch surf. I'd figure it out. My biggest fear is what people would think of me, to be treated like that. The way I treated homeless people or the way I judged homeless people was my biggest fear. And that's how the ego works. The ego projects our fears so we know what they are. Our ego projects our anger so we know why we're angry with ourselves. So that every time I saw a homeless person and I got angry, well, how could they be that way? Because in reality, I was angry at myself because I felt like I was getting closer and closer to that reality. So the reason I wanted to jump on today and tell you that story and talk to you all about a little bit about what I've been working through is because everything has double meanings in our life. Everything has multiple facets, multiple layers, and everything is a reflection of what's going on within us. So if you can go through life without even thinking about nothing, feeling about nothing, having an opinion, having a judgment, you most likely cleared most of your trauma. But if you're going through life judging everything and everyone, having an opinion of everything, defending your opinion, becoming your opinions, being your ego, it's all self-protection mechanisms that we develop to protect ourselves from the truth of how we feel about ourselves, which is really what causes us to decay, to cope, to distract, to allow others to treat us poorly, to not defend our sovereignty, to react with anger instead of just speaking back with truth. That's all self-confidence, it's all self-assurance, and that all comes from a lack of self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-care, and self-love. And though I am the one on these videos talking to you all about this, I'm still a human being walking through this. I'm still a human being working through the deepest triggers, the childhood triggers of feeling like you weren't going to make it, feeling like you weren't going to survive, feeling like it was the end of the world. But you peel back those layers, you go into your past, and you objectively look at your childhood and the things that have happened, or even your young adulthood, and the things that created these programs in your mind. You start rooting through those memories. That's when you start to find the illusion. It's all bullshit that we created or somebody helped us create for ourselves to keep us in this box that's slowly killing us. We drive in boxes, we watch boxes, we microwave our stuff in boxes, we live in boxes, we put our labels in boxes, we put ourselves in boxes. It's time to think outside the box. It's time to get out of the box and be the amazing fractal of God that we are, the eternal being that we are, and to remember. But who's to say that not every single person has the ability to remember? Who's to say that not every single person has the ability to telepathically communicate, to bend metal with their minds? And who's to say that the only reason that we all can't do those types of things yet is because we don't believe we can? And the reason we don't believe we can is because of the bullshit fear paradigm programs that were either created for us or implanted in us at a very young age that we then dictate our entire life through. As these bodies grow, we still feel like immature, scared, broken children. And the only way to mature yourself is to go back into your past, forgive yourself for your ignorance, forgive yourself for your immaturity, and then address that scared little boy or girl inside that still feels those same feelings as if it's happening in real time, and having their back. Because again, you're not the ego, you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're the eternal fractal of God, you're the consciousness observer giving the spark of energy to this form so that you can co-create your godly experience. And that's what I wanted to leave you with today. I didn't really know what I wanted to talk to about this video, but it was such a powerful day for me yesterday. It was such a powerful purge. I cried. I couldn't believe how much I was able to release of fear of literally being homeless, and fear of what people would think of me if I was homeless. Because I went from being such a capable human being at such a young age to very quickly not even being able to do anything. And I became that person, and I forgot that I have been capable in my life. And that is the problem, or that is the issue with mental health, is it's not the actual mental health issues. It's the paradigms, it's the narratives, it's the storylines that we keep ourselves enslaved by that causes the decay. And the only way to heal is to face ourselves. So I hope you gained a little bit further on your path today. I hope you gained a little bit more clarity on your journey. I hope you can bring in a little bit more love into your heart so that you can see that fear is not real. It is an illusion that was perpetuated onto us, that separated us from God at a very young age. And that if you just surrender to something bigger than you, that's not any type of religion, it's non-denominational, just a higher aspect of you that may know a little bit more than you because it's been around a little bit longer. If you can surrender to something like that and just start listening to that voice, and not that voice that gives you angry cat face, but the voice that makes you feel good. If you can start listening to the voice that makes you feel good, you will heal. And you will prosper. And you won't end up homeless, I promise. So, a little bit more vulnerable today. These messages, I'm coming to the close of this 100 vlog challenge. I'm going to continue to make videos, but I want these messages to be really heartfelt to finish this challenge out, because this challenge has helped me grow. I know that these videos have helped a lot of you grow. I'm getting great response. I'm getting great feedback. And it's important that we're vulnerable with one another. It's important no matter what. I'm a master of this stuff, guys. I believe that. I'm a master of this stuff. I know it. But that doesn't mean I haven't yet understood it all, because I'm still digging through all of it. The only way you're a master is to know that you're a student for life, but that you still have gotten to a point where you can teach. That's what being a master is you're never going to stop learning. You're never going to stop growing. So to be the master means to take the humility to know I have enough to give to somebody to teach, but I also have a lot of room to grow. That's all mastery is. So I love you all, and I'm very grateful for you all. And I'm grateful to walk this path beside you. And I'm never going to be the one that tells you I have it all figured out. And I'm never going to be the one that tells you that I don't go through shit. I try so hard to be that version where you're just kind of like, you're the expert, and then, no, man, I'm a human, dude. I'm a human. I have feelings, I have emotions, I have fears, I have separation anxiety still. I got all this stuff I'm working through. And I'm going to be real with you about it. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to tell you that everything's honky-dory when it's not. That's not who I am. And every time I deny who I am, I decay. So I'm just going to be real as shit. But because I'm real as shit with myself all the time, and I'm authentic as anything, I heal so much quickly now. Because I don't have excuses, I don't have justifications, and I don't try to hide. Just be yourself and love yourself. So I made a Telegram. If you want to search me on Telegram, it's Army of Energy. Telegram's pretty much butthole. It's horrible. I'm not a big fan, but if people like it, and if it gets the conversation going, and if we can share content, and if we can really start building this Army of Energy through it, then let's try it. And if it sucks, then we'll wait and try something else. So if you want to look me up on Telegram, it's Army of Energy. I'm really grateful for you all. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have an even better evening, and I will see you all at the same time tomorrow. Take care, and goodbye.